Hello everyone, my name is Kara Brown. I am an urban fantasy author and the operations director at Otherworld Inc. And I'm here today to do a review of Scrivener. If you are new here, I have kind of been doing review of different writing softwares that authors can use, and I've kind of put off doing a review for Scrivener because one, it's really extensive. Two, I can throw a rock and hit somebody that's done a review on Scrivener. But in order to make sure that I am covering all the bases appropriately, I do actually have to at some point do a review on Scrivener. So you might want to grab some water, maybe a notepad, because we're going to be here for a little bit. Because, like I said, this program's very extensive, and I'm going to be talking about it for a good hot minute. So we're going to jump into it right now. Right off the bat, I'm going to let you guys know that I'm using the Windows version of Scrivener, and at the time that I'm recording this video in April 2020, this is not the same model that's being used with the Mac. The Mac has different features. It has a different setup and a number of other applications that are attached to it that unfortunately the Windows version does not. I at this time do not have an estimate about when the update for Windows is going to come, because the last time that Coffee and Lattes updated their status on this was back in like August 2019. So your guess is as good as mine at this point. But so we're just going to look at the default stuff that comes with the Windows. Now, one of the things that you're going to see obviously are some of the templates that come with the default program. Here you can see the tutorial about how to use it. There's the user manual. There's the videos that they have linked if you need more assistance after this video to master the greatness that is Scrivener. And don't get me wrong, I do like Scrivener. I like it a lot. It's just not my default program for a couple of reasons, which I'll cover in the pros and cons of this. But first things first, so the first template is obviously blank. There's nothing here. You can do whatever you want with this. You can make cooking recipes, you can plot out movies, you can do whatever you want with this. Fiction comes with 3 natural templates: a novel with parts, and then short stories. Nice thing about these templates is that it also does the automatic formatting for you, so if you are somebody that struggles with formatting manuscripts for submissions, I would recommend checking this out. There's a nonfiction section for you academics. I actually have used this for one of my more extensive programs, and I really do like it because it allows you to put all your research in the same area as well. The next one is going to be script writing, and as you can see, it has various other formats. I have tried to dabble a little bit with the comic script, and I don't stick with it because there's another program that I use for my script writing, but when I do a video where I talk about script writing, I will actually come back and revisit how to do this with Scrivener, but today is not that day. And then Miscellaneous, where you can obviously put those cooking recipes that I talked about, or you can do pretty much anything. Now, you are not limited to only using these. There are individuals who have made Scrivener templates, and all you have to do is upload those, and I'll show you how to do that a little bit later in the video if that's something that you want to do. For this moment though, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use this novel template, and we're going to put the stuff right here, and I'm just going to show you some of the stuff that you can do with it. So we're going to hit create. And right off the bat, it makes just a very basic template. The really nice thing about this is obviously it opens up to the novel format how-to, where they talk about how the template works, how to do the compiling, where you turn into a PDF or a Word document, and how to do changes, all this stuff. So fun bedtime reading right here. Would encourage you to check it out. Now let's look at the stuff that we have over here on the left-hand side. So first things first, you can see that you start with chapter, and then there's a scene right in here. In your scene, you type in whatever you want, la 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 la, and when you actually populate your scenes with text, you're going to see that this icon changed, just like so. If you need to add more folders, there's 2 ways that you can do it. You can either hit this caret right here, and you can hit either new folder or new text, or you can do the key commands that go with it. So it really depends. One thing that I often do, and I would encourage you to do if you are doing something with Scrivener, is just to write with scenes and then figure out where to break those scenes up. If you make chapters and then fill them with scenes and then realize that your chapter is like 10,000 words long, your editor is probably going to tell you to break it up. So I would just say stick with just writing scenes for the time being. So like so. I'm just using the key command. And as you can see on my screen, this makes a lot of different cards, and you can come in here and basically write fun, you know, whatever you want, right? And you can put in a summary of what happens. And I would just recommend that whatever your card summary is going to be, that'd just be something that can trigger your memory really quickly about what's happening in that scene. Now, you can come in here and you can adjust the cards to make them larger and all that other stuff if that's something that you feel like you need to do. But I would say if you're just trying to like jog your memory about what's happening where, to go ahead and do that. Now, the fun thing is that let's say that you have another chapter, right? So let's do that real quick. I'm gonna come up here, I'm gonna hit chapter, and you can tell right here that these icons are different because this one says this one's a folder, this one is a blank template, this one's been filled. But let's go ahead and put this stuff in here like this. I want you to notice I'm dragging. I love the drag and drop so much. So if you take a look at the difference here, you can see that this is obviously one card, and then you can see that there's the indication that there's more than one card here. And you can actually move this sucker up like right here too. So if you go on manuscript, you can arrange your chapters this way. You can move the chapters around too, and it will move it right here. It's very intricate that way. And you can also write your chapter summaries about what happens if you don't want to break it down in the scene format. And when you click on those chapters, it's going to open up all those boxes about what happens in those scenes. So very, very organization friendly in that space if you're looking to track all that stuff. But the thing that really knocks it out of the park for me is actually going to be this tool right here where you can see the breakdown. Now I'm gonna go ahead and turn my voice off for a little bit while I go ahead and set some stuff up, but this is the part of the program that's always a big sell for me, so give me 1 second. So what I just kind of quickly did here is I set up the ability to outline the ever-living fuck out of your stuff. I'm a really big fan of this one feature in Scrivener. It's always a major sell for me every time. And what you're going to do is if you want to do this is you go up to projects, you go into metadata, and you come in here and what you saw me do is hit this button right here and add in all these things that you see on the screen. And you can change these to be whatever you want. Like right here, I just put XXX, but maybe let's say that you want to make this a story beat. Like maybe you're trying to track all your story beats, right? And this is going to be where you do it. And right here, it just immediately changed what I had there to that. So you can change this. You can rearrange this. Like with the order that you type it in is not what it's going to be on the screen. It's going to be whatever you want it to be. And now one other thing that I think is really cool is that, by default, this program basically tries to label things as chapter and scenes. But again, going back into the metadata, you go right here where you say labels and you can change this. So let's say that I have like some characters and I don't want this to be labeled. Maybe I want this to actually be POVs, right? And let's see, I want this to be like Corey, and I want this one to be Andrew, and I want this one to be like bad guy, right? I'm just making this up as I do this. And immediately changes this right here. And so if you are trying to track whose POV that you are stuck on, this is definitely the way to do it. Now, the really awesome thing about making sure that you have all this stuff set up is that when you go into your scene cards, is that you can actually make this something that you can see off here to the side. So give me 1 second while I pull that up. So what you're going to do is you're going to go over to, I had to find it because I haven't used this program in a little hot minute, but you're going to go over to view, you're going to hit inspect, and you're going to hit any of these things. You can really do any of these. I would say synopsis, and then what that's going to do is off to the side here, it's going to basically give you the summary of what's supposed to happen in the scene. And then right here on document notes, you can just type in whatever you want in order to track what's happening. And that's going to be stuck with just that particular scene card. So I just want you to see how I changed scenes there, and one's blank and the other one's not. So if you have to do research or you need to have an author note that you need to come back to in order to like remind yourself of stuff, this is definitely the place to do it. You can also, for some reason, let's say you write this and you're kind of like, oh, this POV was supposed to be Corey, but now you can change it to Andrew if you want. You can also come right here to where it says document references, and you can add that stuff in there. If you got keywords, keywords are really mostly used for the nonfiction stuff, but if you want to set up your fiction stuff that way, you can. You've got your tags, which is the purpose, the character. So all that stuff that you saw me enter in for the metadata, that's going to be right here. So as you're writing it, you can go ahead and say, oh, the purpose of this is world building, right? And world building, and when you come back up here to the manuscript and you unload that, it's right there. So everything that you type on here is going to be, pretty much transferred over everywhere. So you don't have to go around and retype stuff all the time. You can also do snapshots. Snapshots are really good for if you need to make sure that you're recording certain parts of your manuscript while you do it. This feature is a lot more useful in the Mac OS version because it allows you to see changes that you make from one version to the other, but that's not something that is available here on the Windows one, which I am very disgruntled about, but that's neither here nor there. This is comments and footnotes. So let's say, hold on. So let's say that I write more stuff, right? And I decide that I'm gonna go ahead and leave myself a note, like revisit POV, right? And then that's going to be highlighted right there. And if you export this into a Word document, this is going to show up in the comments section. So this can be a good place to help you remember to do stuff, but if you are not careful, it is going to jack with your formatting later when you're doing the export. So just kind of be subtly aware of that. And then you can lock the inspector as well, which is what this entire thing is called, so that way it doesn't move when you do stuff, but that's just a personal preference thing. So there is a lot more that you can do with this. I've just kind of basically showed you how to set up the manuscript stuff, and there's a lot that you can do with it, just a lot. Now, one thing that a lot of people do like is that you've got the ability to do character stuff in here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this and then go right here. And instead of just hitting new, I'm going to hit template and I'm going to go to character sketch. Because that, again, this default thing comes with its own templates. I would encourage you to use those. And you can come in here and you can make whoever you want. So let's say I wanted to put Ghost in the story, right? So I made a character thing for Ghost, and I'm going to type her name right there, Ghost Wellington. And you can upload images of this character, and that's useful because when you go to click on them and you're looking at it in the Corkboard view, that image will show up right here. So let me go find an image real quick. Alright, so I just went and made a couple more just to show you guys what it looks like in the Corkboard. So you can come in here and add in whatever pictures that you want, and then you can fill in all this information right here. So that's very useful for that, and these are really good actual things to ask about your characters. Would always encourage you to explore those. And again, you can have document notes right here about this character, so maybe you got to research something that's very pivotal to their development. Now places also has a template, and you're going to come up here, you're going to go folders, and it's going to say settings, so you're going to click on that. I don't have these populated with any information right now, but you can put in different places, and they're like, what does this place do for the story? Who's related to these scenes? What season is it there? If you've got a story that obviously goes over a large expanse of time, or you're just trying to set the scene. What I really like right here is actually the sights and sounds and smells, the sensory stuff. I think that's really important to keep into account. And you can also input like images into this too if you need a visual reminder. And this can be useful if you're writing about a place and you can actually break this screen up and have the settings and the characters kind of on there too. I don't use that feature very much because that kind of makes my screen way too busy, so I don't really use that. What I do use though when I am writing scenes is actually going to be this feature right here, and it's called Enter Full Screen Mode, and it basically shuts off everything else that's going on my screen right now and just lets me see the words. And once you get to like a certain point in your words, the nice thing is that it just starts to move the screen up, so that way you're not losing your place. I think that's actually pretty freaking awesome. And when you're done doing that, you just hit this button right here, you enter the mode, and look, there are all those lovely words that you typed, except those are gone now. So, and that's just really useful if you're looking for a distraction-free mode to write in. And the other cool thing that a lot of people do love about this is that it's got a project target thing right here. So it's going to tell you how many words that you wrote per session that you're sitting in. Now, I typed in a whole bunch of gibberish and then I deleted it. So it basically says that I'm not meeting my word count at this time. But if you have like a project guideline or a project goal that you're trying to make, like let's say that you want to write like 70,000 words, right? Well, then it's going to have that on there for you, and it's going to tell you how close that you get to the 70,000 words, and there'll be like a little progress bar right here. A lot of people like that. Let's see, reset. And right here, if you have like a session, so this is, now one thing I do want to make clear about sessions is that it's basically when you open the program. It doesn't track overall what you do per day, it just tracks what you're doing when you have the program open. And it doesn't store this information anywhere. The moment you close it, that's it, it's gone. So if you're somebody that likes to track your word count per day, you're gonna have to check this as you get done. One thing that I do is I just leave it over here in like the corner where I'm not gonna, it's not gonna get in the way of anything, and I'll take a look at it there. Otherwise, yeah, there's that. So there are some progress tracking things that you can do with this program, which I really do enjoy about it. Some of the stuff includes right here where it says status, and you can make the drop down right here to be to do, first draft, revise, final draft, title, and it's done. Normally when I have projects, I make another status that goes in here and it just says beta reading, so that way I know it's with the beta readers at the time. So you can go in there and you can add that. But the other thing that you can do is you can come over here and you can right click one of these little bad boys right here, and you can change this icon, and you go straight to flags, and you can basically use a red flag if it's, you know, not been looked at or if it's got problems. You can use another flag if it's like in the works, like maybe that can be your beta reading flag. And then you can come over here and you can use the green one for when it's actually done. So this gives you like a quick like color overview on the side here if you want to see kind of where you are in that process. Now, I would caution you from organizing too much. So if you feel like this is actually going to be something that's going to distract you, then just be aware of that. But I actually do use this this process when I'm going through my stuff. So normally red is there's like transitions I need to make up, blue's almost ready, I need to reread it, and then green's like it's ready for me to do like the first revisions. Okay, so this is where people get really frustrated, and it comes with the export portion of it. So right here you can see that it said chapter 1 and then it says chapter, right? So I don't know why this version of the program does this, but this is going to be very vexing for people that are trying to make sure that they are formatting their stuff right. Spaces, margins are all perfect. This stuff is a giant pain in the ass to go back and fix. And one thing that you are going to notice is right here where I had this phrase in italics, you're going to notice that it's underlined. This is definitely going to fuck up your formatting if you don't go in and change the default settings, but this is actually the default setting. Now, when you're trying to proof your manuscript, this is actually what you're supposed to do. They do want you to underline it just like this, so that way you can see where the italicized words in, but if you turn this in like it is right now to like any agent or publisher, they're going to give you the side eye. The other thing is that obviously if you don't go and change the default settings, is that all your font is going to be in Courier New, which depending on who you're sending it to, they may ask for Courier New, they may ask for Times New Roman, they may ask for a lot of different things. This is why checking to see what their submission guidelines is very important. And one thing that you'll have to do is if you do go in here and you forget to change where stuff in italics isn't underlined, you're going to have to come over here to replace. You're going to go down here, you're going to go to format, you're going to go to font, you're going to go to underline, you're going to say okay, you're going to go to replace with, are you guys bored yet? Font, you're going to say none, and then you're going to hit italic, and you're going to do that, and you're going to hit replace all, and then it's going to do all the replacing then. So a little extra step that you have to do to fix it, but that is the quick fix for it. If you do not catch that beforehand though, you are in for a bad time. That's actually what happened to Chris Fox. He was using this program, he used it to format his book, and then when he went to publish it, it had underlines where all the italics were, and that was just a bad look. So I'm opening up a different file that I have because there is some stuff that I know some people are going to ask questions about. So you go through and you do all this stuff right here, right, to fill in your metadata, and you're like, well, what happens, like, can I print it out? Can I do XYZ? The answer is yes, you can. And you're going to have to come over when you do the export thing, and you're going to have to go over to this stuff right here and make sure that it is clicked. And then on top of that, you're going to have to make sure, let me see if I can find it. Not separators. Right here where it says formatting, where it says metadata, if that's the stuff that you want to have in there, you're going to have to click on it and make sure that's there, and then it's going to show you a template of what that looks like. I made the mistake of including this in a beta reading thing, and they were all like, what is this stuff? And I was like, oh, you know, don't mind that. So just keep in mind that when you're doing this, that you should probably make sure it's not there for your beta readers. But this is pretty much how you're going to turn that on. So again, you go to the export over here, you go to formatting, you click on all the stuff that you want to have included, and when you go to compile it, it will actually be in there. So there's that. It can be very useful or it can be very infuriating. It really depends on how you decide that you're going to tackle that. So another drawback of Scrivener is that this is a very hard program to edit in because it doesn't track your changes. That's usually when you have to start switching your stuff over to like Word or Google Docs or something else that allows you to see changes that you're making. The Mac version of this allows you, like I said earlier, to take snapshots of what it is that you're doing, and then you can compare what you're adding or taking away, so that way you know what you're doing. You can't do that with this current Windows version. I'm sure when it comes out they'll be able to do that, but as of April 2020, this is not a thing yet. So there's that. Another drawback is the fact that this is not cloud-based. It is not cloud-based. So whatever you have on one device, it's on that device. And you can save the files onto other things like a portable drive, or you can try and have it synced to your OneDrive or stuff like that. But this is not made to be supported by any kind of cloud feature, which for some people, like me, that's very infuriating because I like to do a lot of things on the cloud because I feel like my baby is safe up there. But that's just a big thing that this program does not do, and I wish it did. I would like to point out though that the ability to sync your stuff with other devices, that is available in the Mac version, but not in this one. I got feels, y'all. I got feels. So, in summary, this program is really good for drafting. It allows you to have all of your research and your characters and everything in one place. It is very easy to customize. You can do a lot of different things with it. You can move this stuff around. Like, for example, if scene 2 belongs better after scene 3, you can just go ahead and move that and you don't have to worry about it. You can spend a lot of that time making that metadata that I was talking about in order to flesh out your stuff, or you can track things that are going on. It's also super easy right here, for example, to change. Can't really do that with the rest of the stuff. You do have to actually type it into the thing. Word count feature will let you know how many words are in that sucker when you're writing it, so that's also really useful if that's stuff that you need to track. It's really good for organizing, it's really good for putting your ideas together, but once you get done with that drafting process, that's where the value of this program does start to lose its effectiveness for me. So I did say I was going to show you guys how to import templates, because there are some templates that are really amazing that are out there. You've got Save the Cat, you've got Hero's Journey, there's just a whole bunch of them that you can go and import. So you're going to go over to New Project, you're going to go to Options, Import Template, and then you're going to go and find that template. Now, if you have not extracted this file from the zip file that it comes in, you're not going to find it. I'm only saying that because it took me 3 times of recording this to figure that out again. And you're going to click on that, and it's going to be right there. That's that new template that you can use. Now, the downside is that you cannot take this template and apply it to what you've already done. You need to start your file with the template. You cannot just overwrite what you have. That's just not a thing. But once you do that, you can click on that, you can make a title, create, and it's got it all set up for you just like this. So some of these are super cool, some of these are really useful, and if you are somebody that works really well with having story beats or some kind of format like this, I would really recommend this. It's really useful and it's very easy to use, and a lot of people do put a lot of effort into making these templates, and sometimes they're lifesavers, sometimes they just give you that guidance or that direction to move in. So just throwing it out there, there's lots out there. You can find so many to work with. And I'm still using that one I just imported, and you can come in here and you can add in whatever metadata that you want to add in here on top of whatever they have for you as well. So really useful stuff, really good stuff. It's just yeah, this is some of the stuff that makes me love Scrivener, and sometimes it overcompensates for what I don't like about it, but that's just so I haven't covered everything that you can do with Scrivener, because like I said before, it's really extensive and a lot of it is geared towards academics as well. What I've really done today is kind of just showing you how to use this as a writer and some of the features, the pros and the cons with that. Again, you're going to find the stuff with the metadata and the inspector to be your best friends when it comes to writing. And this is gonna be really useful when you are drafting and doing the first revision as you're collecting all these notes and things that you need to do. But once you get into the actual like nitpicking editing phase, that's like I said, that's where I have a hard time working with this program because it doesn't really support my needs that way. Um, and the fact that you can't really collaborate with other people without sending files back and forth, that's a thing that I'm not very fond of, but that's really just kind of like a first world problem. Some people don't have issues sending files back and forth. And again, I do want to reiterate that this is really good for starting your draft, organizing your thoughts, getting all of your world building in one place. And even though this only has some things like characters and places, down here in research, if you want to add in stuff for like languages or history or whatever, you can come in here and you can do that as well. So don't it don't feel limited about what you can do when you're trying to set this thing up. There's just a lot of things that you can do. You can set up races and a whole bunch of other things just so that way you can come back and review it later. So that's pretty much the overview of Scrivener and how you can use it in a number of other things. Now, I am not by far a Scrivener pro. There are some other individuals that have like lessons about this. They've got videos where they talk about all these features in a lot of depth. Like I think somebody did like a 20-minute video about how to use the inspector at one point. I was like, that's way too much stuff for me to know. But yeah, there's a lot of resources that you can use. There are some paid classes about how to use Scrivener as well, and I'm gonna just be really frank with you. There's too much free explanation about how to use this software for you to actually go and give somebody your money on that. It's especially from the actual creating website itself. So go check out and see what people are willing to share with you for free before deciding if you want to spend X amount of dollars on a course. So just throwing that tip out there from me to you. So that's pretty much going to end my overview on Scrivener, and I know that there are some really big Scrivener enthusiasts out there who use this program extensively, and if you feel like I did not explain a concept very well or that I presented a misconception, please feel free to leave a comment down below to correct that, and provide what information that you can for that so that way people who read it will be able to learn from it. My feelings are not going to be hurt if you're checking me on something that I didn't do right, so don't feel like that. But if you have your own experience with Scrivener as well, please feel free to leave whatever pros and cons that you have about this program as well. I know a lot of people are turned off from it. A lot of people absolutely love it. I'm still kind of on the fence. Just because I love it and I love the organization that it brings, but I'm such a cloud baby. I need my stuff to be on the cloud, and that's the big selling point on some of the other software that I use that this one just doesn't present, not to mention my difficulties when it comes to the editing phase. Now, I will say that when this update for Windows comes, this may change everything that I do, but we haven't gotten there yet. So when we do get there, I'll probably revisit this program and possibly do another video because at that point this one will be outdated. So, but that is going to be me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to hear what I have to say about Scrivener, and I will talk to y'all again real soon.